2023 is now the best time that it's ever been to become a music curator.
And they did put me on.
So what is a music curator? The definition online is a music curator selects artists for shows or to appear on different platforms. Daily tasks could include creating playlists and booking festival acts. Today I'm going to talk about the first part about building playlists more than festival acts, but there is a live show element that I will get to later in the episode. So to me, a music curator is somebody who creates playlists, ideally in various genres or moods, and then adds music consistently to those playlists. Curators are a key and very, very important part of today's music industry. Essentially what I'm getting to is I think that playlists are becoming the new radio stations. Just like how TV has gone to streaming, I think radio has as well, in the form of on-demand radio stations or playlists, which is just less live and more on-demand. Now with playlists usually updated daily or weekly, the availability of new songs and popular tracks is what people love. And this is where music discovery is happening at such a large scale. And you have this discovery going on in two ways. One is algorithmically, where Spotify and Apple Music are making algorithmic playlists based on your music taste. And then you have third-party playlist curators, which fill up a lot of Spotify's playlist libraries. And so why third-party playlists or curator playlists are, I think, so important is people like the feeling of a person curating a list for them. Just like how they like radio DJs back in the day, making the list of songs programmed for that show. People are now relying on curators to make lists of songs for them to update and keep people informed on new music and current trends happening around music. Plus, the radio stations have been at the mercy of major labels since the beginning of time, it seems like. And playlists now are becoming complete music channels in themselves. So here are some examples of how playlists are becoming complete music channels. So you can now have multiple people building a single playlist, and a playlist network in itself can have multiple curators, almost like multiple radio DJs were back in the day at stations. And then those multiple playlists that are different genres and moods kind of act like different shows that a radio station would have. So I have a hip hop playlist, I have a house playlist, a chill house playlist, a lo-fi playlist. So these are all different almost stations on a radio network or a playlist network that exists in the modern world of music, which again is more on demand than ever. And you can definitely tell because artists and labels are now attracted to these third-party playlist curators just the same way that they were always attracted to the radio DJs. If you're a curator, you see a lot of inbound from artists who are inviting you to listen to a new album they have coming out, similar to back in the day when they would send a whole album to a radio DJ, get their feedback, always want to kind of create a good relationship with them, a solid relationship with them, because they are the ones that are controlling what the ears are consuming. And if you're saying, well, radio has talk and music, that's right, but so can playlists. What I mean by that is now you can create radio shows on Spotify via Anchor, and it's talk plus music embedded from Spotify into the radio show. So if 10,000 people listen to a radio show, that'll be 10,000 streams for the songs on that radio show via Spotify. I have a radio show style podcast called Put You On Radio, and essentially the first season was me talking about kind of pop culture moments around music, intertwined between songs that are on the playlist. And I would use multiple playlists for each radio episode, kind of depending on the day of the week or the time of the year. Season 2 was all about Web3 music, where I would play songs from the playlist and then educate people on Web3 music, tools, platforms, and companies. Season 3 I just started, where I'm doing artist interviews, so I'm going back to more of the basics, where I'm just simply sitting down with artists on my playlist, talking to them, and then playing music in between our talking points. Now I have an on-demand radio show that I can embed onto my playlists. So again, that is a really cool feature that you can do on Spotify. You can add podcasts to any playlist. So now if you make a radio show style podcast like I did, you can now implement that onto a playlist. Now, why am I saying all this? To encourage future music curators to start now, and you're able to start a media channel with simply a playlist and a microphone. So a couple years ago, I took the idea of playlists very seriously. I was always fascinated by the ability that a playlist has to act as its own radio station, music channel, brand, and even company. So how can you become a curator? So it's pretty simple to start. First, you have to build a playlist, but not everybody with the playlist, I would say, is a curator. There has to be some demand for the playlist. People have to know that you're updating the playlist and you're a trusted source for music. So how did I do it? I simply built an audience. So after I built my initial playlist with 0 followers, I had to build an audience. So again, TikTok is just the best way to build an audience because of the reach and the algorithm. Some people run ads, but I'm pretty proud to say I've never ran one ad on any of my playlists, and I pretty much never plan to. Why I don't like running ads is you're not really promoting the curator as much as you are the playlist. So people aren't connecting with the curator of the playlist, and you're just kind of one of the playlists that they follow. In my opinion, face faceless playlists kind of just get lost in the lineup of playlists people have on their Spotify account, and I think they just lose interest. So again, I just made content on TikTok almost every single day, and without fail would always promote the playlist that I was posting the song to. So if I post Matter of Time by Vandalux, I'm screen recording at the end of my video that song is sitting at the top of this playlist, and there are plenty more songs similar to that song on the playlist. And again, this all cost me $0. So first step of being a curator, build an audience on TikTok, Reels, and YouTube Shorts. 2 is to convert the audience into website traffic. So the homepage of my site are all of my playlists. The reason for this is because more people will find your other playlists, and it's just a way better way to grow your playlist network as a whole. So if I get 100,000 views on a video, people again are trusting you with music, so they want to kind of check out the other playlists that you might have on the playlist network. Third step is I set up a submission tab on my website. Now artists can submit music to me. So this means that the playlists are big enough to be desired by artists. Of course, artists want to be on bigger playlists. So by building playlists through audience building is the best way for artists to start noticing, because they also are getting fed that content and then also wanting to be on the playlist as well. So artists know that I'm a trusted way for them to gain exposure from new fans who follow the playlist. So if I didn't do steps 1 and 2, this wouldn't be effective, obviously, right? You need website traffic, and then you need people to be able to see the content, including artists, to first of all be aware, and second of all to build the playlist to a size that artists even want to be on it. So this is how you can start monetizing your page as well, by charging for submissions for you to listen to. This is what I do. So I monetize by charging artists a small fee for me to listen to the music. From there, what we do with it is under our discretion, but to even get it in front of us, there's an optional payment that you can submit, and that is a small way you can monetize. It's not going to make you rich or anything, but it's a small way that you can maybe start investing in new equipment or even hire somebody on the side to kind of help you in this process. But again, the best and safest way to monetize is not charging for playlisting. That's a pretty big no-no around all Spotify and Apple Music. So if you're charging specifically for placements on your playlist, that's a pretty big red flag, and I definitely don't recommend doing that. Fourth step is I made an Instagram page for my playlist network. This is mostly content of the artists that are on my playlist, whether it be an album they release or a tour they're going on or a feature they locked in or a sync opportunity that they had or something like that. I'm always promoting the artist as if they're kind of on my own label. That's how I treat my playlist, almost as my own label. And then of course I'm repurposing my content from TikTok onto Instagram via Reels, and what I do is I post it to my main account, but then I'll also add a collaborator, which is my music page, PUTYOON.club, and then it's both of our videos at the same time, which grows both accounts at the same time depending on the reach of the video. Fifth step is I made that podcast radio show that I mentioned earlier that kind of makes the playlist more of a channel. And while this isn't necessary to be a curator, I'm always figuring out ways to kind of expand and brand out more aspects of the playlist, because playlists and music discovery in itself isn't that scalable, right? It's not like that sustainable of a business to always just doing music discovery and things like that, right? You need other ways that you can keep the page going and the company alive by monetizing certain things, and you can do that by running ads on the radio show and the podcast. So kind of the way it goes is the more followers a playlist has, so my biggest one has 101,000 followers to it, now I can implement my radio show onto that playlist of 101,000 people, and then brands and companies will like that because you are now exposing them to those potentially 100,000 people. So the bigger the playlist, the more valuable your podcast becomes. So again, a very crucial second part of monetizing your channel. And then the sixth step that I did as well is throwing events. So again, back to that original definition of a curator is somebody who creates lists of songs for people and also plays artists on live shows. So what do? I throw playlist parties. I essentially hit up venues and I say, hey, I have this much following on TikTok and this many followers on my playlist. I want to throw an event based around that, and I have a text list of over 500 people that I've built, again, through funneling people from my content to my website. And on my website in big text is, we throw playlist parties in LA, click here if you want to come. So that in itself, the traffic that I'm flowing from posting songs to my website is building a text list of people that I can now go to venues and say, hey, I have this many people, I can almost guarantee this many RSVPs at this point, can we work out a deal? And that's a great way you can monetize as well as a curator, is throwing events for clubs, bringing them traffic into the door, and that is worth money to them. And it's also a great way for you to connect with people who follow the playlist, right? So when I throw these playlist parties, people come up and they're like, dude, I love the playlist, I love the content. Like, building an audience, you have to actually connect with them, or else they're not a very engaged follower of that playlist. So again, always connecting with people, and of course they're following you and they're following your playlist, so you do want to meet those people because they are a pretty important part of your life if you think about it, right? So that's 6 steps on to become a curator, and it all starts with just building that first playlist and then posting content around that playlist to grow the follower count, running 0 ads, all organic original content, and doing so over and over and over again is how I've generated over 185,000 followers across the playlist network, and how I became a curator in 2022. So to kind of recap everything, if I were to look to become a music curator in 2023, free. I would make playlists, make my website, make daily content about the songs on my playlist, always screen grabbing your playlist at the end so people can know what to search or where to go in your bio and where that song is living at the moment. Set up a submission page on your website for artists to go and connect with you. Create a podcast or radio show to live on my playlist. And the bigger your socials get, the more and more reach you'll have to keep growing the playlist and provide a value for listeners and artists at the same time. And then make a YouTube channel. All right, thanks for watching today, and I'll see you guys next week. Good luck.
And they did put me on.